America that we have to get into debt. Why are we encouraged to get into debt? And as soon as we get into that debt, we are punished for it. Okay, these are two different things. I mean, why should somebody ask you to do something, and then as soon as you do it, then you get in trouble? And this is true of the credit economy that America is running on. And if you're not born here, it's going to be completely confusing. The thing is, credit is the new currency. Credit is the new currency. And American dollar being the currency of the world, this is how even America is dealing with other countries in the world. And it's not only you who doesn't understand the credit. The other countries that deal with America also are equally confused, and they really don't understand, because America will give them credit, and then countries get into debt. And then that's where you realize that countries are in debt, and you're like, okay, when did they get that debt? What is that debt all about? The thing is, debt is the new currency. There's a lot of things that I can't go through into politics and all that stuff. It's not my field. I'm not good at that. I will leave politics for the politician, but I will talk the truth about creating wealth. The truth is, credit is the new currency. And that does not take away the fact that the one who is giving the credit is the one who is borrowing the credit, as in if you are a Bible scholar in Proverbs chapter 22, that the borrower is a servant to the lender. That's the reality. At the back of our minds, we should know the fact that America is using credit economy, is using credit as a currency, is using credit to issue loans and make people get things that they can't have, because that's what credit is all about. Credit enables you to acquire things that you couldn't have immediately, or things that could have taken you years to acquire them. Credit brings them right here. But let's have it at the back of our mind that it didn't go against the Bible, that says that the borrower is still the servant to the lender. The question is, why are we having? How is this whole thing working? Why are we getting into credit? Why is credit so important to this economy? The truth is, credit creates the working class. The working class and the middle class, these are the people who drive the economy. The working class generates revenue to the government projects and compensate the upper class, the rich. The middle class work for them. When you are rich, especially in the United States, one of your biggest problems is going to be paying taxes, and what you're going to be doing is trying to avoid how to pay taxes. And there are legal means of how to do that, to actually avoid taxes. So if the rich are avoiding taxes, and you see that on the television, the news every time, then who pays the taxes? The middle class. So when credit is issued, let me go back a bit. When credit is issued as a currency, it enables you to get things that you don't have. And when that is done, another thing that comes out, which we are going to see, is that it's going to create some debt. And when that debt is created, then this working class has to go to work. You have been given credit, then you have to go to work. You have to work for that money. In older days, people used to borrow money and then they work for the people who have borrowed the money in the biblical times. And if you can't, you would actually donate your child to work on your behalf. Those principles somehow, I still find them very, very applicable in the economy that we have today. So we have that the working class is the engine of the economy. And without the working class, the economy literally dies. Because you, who is a working class, who takes the credit and goes to work, you are the lifeblood of the economy. The system will punish you if you don't work and pay back. This somehow answers the question where we started from, that why are we being punished? Is because if you don't and you've already taken credit, the system can die. So the system is going to push you guys to go to work. Every economy that is doing great in this world, name it, whether it's China or whether how do you call it, Russia or anywhere else, you'll realize that they have a bigger number of working class. And every economy that is doing well does that by having a huge number of people working 8 to 5, at least 5 days a week. Once this goes on well, the economy works well. And remember, I am presenting this with analogy that United States still is one of the best economies in the world. Okay? So the next thing is, naturally, as human beings don't like to work. We just don't like working. So there has to be an incentive for us to go to work. There has to be a reason. If you give me money, just give me money like that, I'm not gonna go to work. So that money has to be in some form that is gonna make me go and work for the economy. And that form is credit. And this is how America empowers its people, by giving them things that they cannot afford. So in America, you can drive a nice car, you can live in a house that you can't afford, you can dress very nice clothes that you can't afford using credit. And for a minute, it sounds really great. And it works. I mean, it works. How do I put it? I think when I first came to America some time back, there's a type of a car that I wanted to drive so bad. It has always been my dream car. Like, okay, I want, to drive that car. And when I came to the US and I went to check it out, and the guys that we can give it to you, like, really? Yeah. And I paid some little money, and it didn't take long. I was driving my dream car. Something that had taken me my whole life, just dreaming about it. But here, because of credit, you can have things that you can't afford with your money. But that is an empowerment on its own. But let's go on and see what happens. Money is not a gift. I will repeat that again. Money is not a gift. Money is a tool for empowerment. Money is a tool for empowerment. It has never been a gift in the life of human beings. Just give me a minute. Let me set this up. So when you have money in your possession, it empowers you in one way or another. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you talk. It changes the way you express yourself. And somehow, when you have money, your heart beats in a certain pace. And if you don't have money, your heart actually races. By the way, you can intercept. If you agree with me, I want us to make it as live as possible. If you can jump in, if you have a question, if you want me to clear something up, just unmute yourself and let me know. I'm more than welcome to come in, to jump in and be able to explain. So this part of money, I feel it's important that we bring it, because it's going to really help you when you need to take control of your finances at a certain point. So without money, you see people protest, you see people talk, sometimes they even cry, and no one listens to them. Literally, no one listens to them. So that is as to why money is a tool to empower you. When somebody gives you money, that money actually empowers you. When somebody takes money away from you, or when you spend that money, you lose the coverage that money offers to empowers you. When you invest it, you actually multiply its ability to empower you. And I also wanted to say that when the only money that can save you is the one that you save. Sometimes we want money to save us, whereas we didn't save money. So make sure that savings, you have some money, because money is important to save you when you want it to save you. Now, how did we get here? There is this guy called John D. Rockefeller. This person ran his businesses in a very efficient way, such that until today his footprint in the economics of United States is still very, very vivid, very, very clear. He still owns a big market share of American economy. And how did he do it? He came up with a strategy, and his strategy was dominate, consolidate, and control. His system might have not been the best. There are so many people who criticize that, but it happened that a century later, all the bigger institutions throughout time have been using the same strategy of dominating, consolidating, and control. Talk about your corporate finance. Talk about institutions like Google. Google is dominating the internet, and no one else is there. Not only that, Google buys other companies that tend to compete with them. They actually buys them off. At the end of the day, they are the only people who are there. Amazon is dominating the retail, online retail, and is also dominating the cloud system. And they're still buying other companies, and now Amazon is actually having its own products labeled Amazon. We have in the financial sector, we have JP Morgan, we have Wells Fargo, we have Chase. From outside, it looks like they are different people, like different companies, but all these three financial institutions that I've mentioned, they are one company. Facebook now owns Meta, owns TikTok, owns WhatsApp. They're using all the same strategy. Dominate completely. Consolidate, put all of them together. Now we have Facebook is using Meta, and everything is consolidated there. And after that, they control. So now Facebook control the data. And Google also have their market share. There's just much you can check on that, but all of them are using the same strategy. Now, debt is a tool to keep you under the control of the financial giants. When credit is created, debt is born. And when debt is born, interest is born. And interest will grow forever in an environment called compound interest. And this is one of those things that are made credit to be a very, very dangerous thing on both sides. It is dangerously good and is dangerously bad. The question is, which side of interest are you? Are you earning interest, especially compounding interest? Because compounding interest is actually the eighth wonder of the world. With compounding interest, you can really make money, a lot of money out of nothing. There are investments that you can do, and if you are doing them at a certain compounding interest, you can make a lot of money. And this is what the banks are using to make a lot of money. And so many rich people are investing on the market, and the money is compounding, and they make a lot of money. On the flip side, you take credit that you're not prepared for, which you didn't understand properly, but you ended up, you took that credit, and then you think you are owing 50 bags, whereas they have added compounding interest. The next thing, it is 55, then compounding from 55. The next thing is 100. It will not take time before your debt grows out of control. And using the same system, now the government or the financial system, because the system of John D. Rockefeller was so efficient that even the government did not stop it. Instead, they just disintegrated it and allowed the financial institutions to use it. And it says, get the debt, go to work, pay back, get a new debt, and repeat the process. Very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. But anyway, why are we here? Why are we talking about all these things? Why did I start by telling all that story? It takes a lot for us to understand how deep or where all this is coming from. And if you just don't know how all that is operating, you end up in a confusion. But we are here to get back control. I want to make it clear that I am not a human rights or a kind of rights, somebody fighting for any kind of rights. These are personal finances. You're taking back control of your life, taking back control of your finances, and taking back control of your resources. And there are three things that you will need to do. Once again, before I go ahead, if you need any clarity, please jump in, ask a question, just unmute yourself, excuse yourself, and I'll be very, very glad to answer that. So 3 things that you need to do. Identify what the problem is, especially with your cash flow. You need to review. You need to review as, okay, how did I get here? What is it that needs to be done? And then you create a plan. We are going to talk about this in details, but these are 3 things that are very important that you need to take into control. And I also want to make it clear that this presentation does not mean that you need to quit your 8-to-5 job. We cannot all be owners of adult family homes, but we are all candidates of wealth building. We all deserve wealth, especially real estate, because the last time I checked, real estate is not manufactured in any industry. It was created by God. So if you are a believer in God, and I believe that God is for all of us, it doesn't matter what background you are, you have the rights to real estate. And so you also have a right to wealth building. Real estate being in the heart of wealth building. So whether you are self-employed or you are running a business you still need to take control of your finances. You don't have to quit your 8-to-5 job because of this presentation. You still need to take control of whatever finances that you're earning at that particular moment. Identify it, review your balances, check your balance sheet, identify what's the problem and your cash flow issues, and then design a plan. And this is where at certain point you can get in touch with a financial planner like me. I'm certified financial advisor. We can create a plan depending on your needs and all that stuff. But at a basic point, this is something that you can do by yourself that doesn't need to cost you anything. Now, that being said, we are getting deeper. One of the things that's very important, very, very important, you're not going to get out of this. You need to be disciplined. When somebody is giving you debt and also punishing you at the same time if you get into debt, you really need to be disciplined with it. Because this is a double-edged sword. Credit is a double-edged sword. It empowers you, and at the same time, on the other edge, it can really, really pierce really hard and can be dangerous. And you need a lot of discipline in finances. That is going to be the beginning of you making wealth. You have to be very disciplined. Taking back control means that you use the principle of leverage and just put your finances in check. What is causing your cash flow problem? Keep track of your finances and your income. Choose the right strategy to make your balance sheet back on track. You don't need to have credit to live a good life. Another disclaimer. I am not saying that because you are in the United States and because United States is using credit economy, so everyone has to get in debt. No. This is going to be a strategy to help you navigate through some phases of your economic life. Because at certain points, you need something. If you need a house, you need a house. Then what are we going to get that house? You need to use the debt wisely. You're going to use credit wisely to get what you want. You are in a crisis at that particular point. You need a way out. You need something to facilitate for you to get what you need to get and then move on with your life. You need to move out of that phase of life. You need to use debt strategically. Otherwise, you can live well without debt. Well without debt, without taking any debt. And at certain points, that is what is advisable. You need to be disciplined. You need to take control of your finances. It won't take long before you won't need any debt. So this is what happens. Once you take control of your finances and you start being disciplined, you have identified what your problem is, you will notice that every time you improve your credit, because that kind of discipline definitely is going to improve your credit. The credit issuers are going to give you more credit, and they will start writing you letters to accept more credit. Every time you register a business, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Chase will write you letters telling you that you are qualified. Here's a credit. We can give you credit. Every time you do something in your life, you move a step, there's someone willing to give you credit card. Every time you get a new job and you get a good job, someone wants to give you credit. The thing is, these people want to use you. And that is just what it is. Not like they are committing sin or something like that. No, they are in business. The question is, how can you get in business and use them too? How can you get into business of using them too to get what you want, to get a house, to get a car, to get whatever you want to get past, including your student loans and all the stuff? Now, financial leverage is going to be your means of being able to take credit, use it to your advantage without it hurting you. Let's see how. First things first, before you take credit, start by saving. Start by saving. Remember, what you save is what is going to save you. Number two, money helps you to think straight. So if you are in debt, even the way you think, you will always want another debt, or going to work because you are in debt, you are not in control of your life. Once you save that money and the strategies that you're making, please write it down. This is the most boring thing. The most boring thing is you want to go to Walmart, can you imagine, and take a paper? You start writing down bread, 3 bags, toilet paper, 2 bags. It's very boring. And I understand. But what if that's what it takes to build your wealth? Using your card or your money without budgeting, on the other hand, is very fulfilling. It's really fulfilling to take a card and not think about it and go and swipe it until the reality comes and you get into surprises. Budgeting makes a big difference. Budgeting changes it all. Write it down. Whatever you don't write down is probably not holding anything. Never use credit cards as income. Use it as a tool. I said this before in other presentations, that when you're earning 3,000 and someone gives you an extra 1,000, you don't have 4,000. You still have 3,000. The 1,000 that has been given to you in the name of credit is just a tool in your hand on how best you can use that tool without hurting yourself. Not only that, that person has given you a double-edged sword. You need to go out there and make good use of that sword. So in all this, cash flow is still king. You know why? If you are broke and you take a credit card, you are just getting yourself into a lot of debt, a lot of problem. So the first thing is at least have some saving with the discipline that we talked about, with budgeting, with taking control of your finances. At least put some money down before you take credit. By the time you take credit that is equivalent at least to what you saved or what you're earning, so that when you spend it, at least there's a way to come out of it very quickly, either with a profit or just you can come back without it hurting you. We will see details on how that can be done. But before we go ahead and even taking debts, there is a good debt and there is a bad debt. There are a lot of philosophies about debt. Others saying don't take debt completely. Others say you can use debt. I think it depends on your position. And as I say, that at this financial or at this economic phase of your life, you need debt. Like buying a house, you will need debt. Mortgage is a debt. And in that case, it is classified under good debt. And I still want to make it very careful about that your mortgage still needs to make sense. If you get a mortgage that you are not able to sustain, I still don't think that even if you buy a house, it is a good debt. Because if the bank takes the house sooner before you build equity in it, you might end up like losing money. So still, mortgage, yes, is a good debt. Yes, because property increases in value. I agree. Property gives you equity. Yes. Property offsets taxes. Yes, those are qualities of a good debt. So a good debt generates, accumulates assets that will increase in value in another way, in any way, and they also generate income to be able to offset the debt. This includes property, include shares. That's another thing that we really don't understand. And with time, making money in the United States, there is a lot of these shares going on. Buying of shares in other companies. We are living in a time when you can own Tesla from the comfort of your home. You can, if Amazon is doing well, why don't you just buy a small portion of Amazon shares, and then you can also invest in managed funds. So these are things that we can get into details, but these are examples of debt, or what you can use debt for that is going to be beneficial. On the other side, bad debt, especially for middle class and lower class, is using debt for consumption. That is the worst thing. Using debt for consumption is the worst thing, and it should not happen at any given point. It should not happen at all. Debt that you take should not be used to buy assets that don't appreciate or don't use to bring money in any way. So if you just take a credit card that you want some money to go and buy groceries, that is definitely a bad debt. If you get a credit card because somebody wants a loan, like your sister wants a loan, your brother wants a loan, yes, you want to help them, yes, but these are part of what we call bad debt. They are not going to service themselves. Be careful with that. Now, there are some proactive strategies that you can use to avoid debt. First, we have talked about creating and sticking to your budget. I want to give us an example before we go into some of these things. Remember, we are talking two different classes. So there's one class that most of us are in, where we are taking debt because we want to buy a house, or we are taking debt because we want to build credit. There must be a reason as to why you want to take credit. You can't just take credit because you are in a credit economy. And as I said before, you can live a good life without credit. So long as there are some tools that we want to empower ourselves, then we have to have a good reason as to why we want to take credit. And one of the good reasons as to why you want to take credit is probably you want to buy a house. And if you want to buy a house, then you take credit just to build credit. And I'm going to talk about unconventional ways of building credit. I'm also going to talk about just safer ways that is going to help you to build that credit without a hassle and faster. But we're still going back to the main things that you have to be disciplined. Create a budget, write it down. I can't stress this so much. Pay your balance in full. So an example is, I want to build my credit. I go and take a card that is $300. Okay. So what I'm going to do, all that I want is to build credit so that my credit goes up, and then I can submit my things to the lender for pre-approval. In that way, I'm going to take that credit card knowing that it is $300 or less. Then I'm going to use that credit card in the supermarket, or I can use it wherever. But if you can have one for your fuel, the other one for your groceries, another one for something else, the total of the amount should not be more than what you are earning at that particular time. And I also don't advise that you take money from your savings. The money for your savings, at least if you saved 3 months of the worth of your expenses, that is usually advisable starting point. If you can have at least 3 months of your expenses, that one is a saving that you put aside. It is money that's going to save you because you saved. But now, if you are earning or you are working, remember you are still a working class, then 300, if your card is 300 every month, before the date that is set on your credit card, let 300 go out to offset that debt. And do not use your debit card, which is the card given from your bank that is linked to your account directly, and at the same time using the credit card. Because what usually happens is you end up running out in both cards. So if you're using a card specifically for building credit, then let's have money channeled to that card and then use that card and pay that card. Not using your card at this side and then you still have to, not using your debit card from your account and then you're using credit at the same time. And then at the end of the day, you've maxed both of them, and then you don't have a way out. So that strategy works very well and will build your credit within no minute. Every time you need to go and do groceries, you know that you're using your credit card, and then you know you're gonna pay for it, and then you repeat that process. Building an emergency fund, I'll talk about that. I want to say, I can't stress enough that pen and paper, if you want to build wealth, and this is the process of building wealth, you need to write things down. If you don't write it down, if you don't go through the grueling process of looking at your budget, using credits is going to frustrate you. Monitor your utilization. Yes, you can use it to 100% if you have, but lenders advise that you only use 30 to 50%. To mean that using credit can be this easy, just using 50% of that. Remember, we are not using credit because we don't have money, or we don't have food to eat, or we don't have a way out of our circumstances. We are using this credit for us to credit card for us to build credit. So using 50% of the credit card that you already budgeted for should not be an issue. Then maintain a history instead of closing accounts. One thing that is very important, and when you want to buy a house, they will ask you, what is your credit score? What is your income? What's your debt to income ratio? one thing, somebody comes with a credit score of 760. The other one comes with a credit score of 650. And you look at both of them, the one that has 760, the credit is good, but the credit history is probably just 6 months. The lenders will look at that and say, so you need to hold the cards for a little bit longer. To mean that if you have the oldest card, if you don't like it, just pay for it. Pay for it in full and just leave it there. Don't use it, because if you don't use it, they're not going to charge you. It's just going to remain there as part of your credit history. Don't close the old accounts. You can just pay it off, leave it at zero, don't use it until such a time when you don't need credit anymore. Then you can take it out, because credit history is very important. Using tax advantages, some debts like business loans or mortgages may offer tax deductions. People, I will talk specifically with if you're running a family home, make sure that you keep your receipts and you'll be able to offset your taxes. If you have a house that you already own, there are a lot of tax advantages that you can offset just by using by owning. And then have a plan, know your terms and your break-even point. I think I've talked so much about that. And build a strong credit score. The question is, how do you do that? By the time you get disciplined, budget, and use the card the way I've told you, already you've started building a good credit. But over and above that, use credit unions. Credit unions have very unconventional ways of creating credit without you getting debt, without you having to remember to pay anything. So, for example, STCU has this facility where you can go in there and say you need a credit building account, and then they will take a certain amount depending on how much you want to be the limit in that account. And then they will take it out and create that account on the side. And then every month they will be returning that money in your account as if you are using that account. It's an awesome arrangement. It's a legal way of cheating the system. I'm using that word, but it's crazy. Why would you take money out of the account and then return it again? But it doesn't matter if that's the thing. If it works, it works. So check them out. In that way, you'll be building credit without getting into debt, without thinking about it, without having to go to through the whole stress of I have credit with these guys and all that stuff. The credit unions will be managing that thing for you for that period of time and reporting all those transactions into the credit bureau. Sit down until figures make sense with your finances. Sit down until these figures make sense. Does anyone have a question until that point? I don't want just to be cruising. I want to interact. Anyone with a question?
Okay. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for the information. I do have a question. What about the bank? Like if you have maybe I missed that. If you have a bank account and you're no longer using it, is it the same thing as a credit card, or you can close it?
A bank account you can close. If it's not, we have other accounts like Offset. There's an Offset. I'm going to talk about that in some slides ahead. That reports to the credit bureau. So if it's not that kind of account, if it does not report to credit bureau, it's just your bank account, you can close it without any problem if you don't use it.
Okay. Thank you.
What you don't close is your credit card. If you don't have a very long history and you still need history, don't close your oldest credit card.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That is a very, very good question. Anyone else?
Yes, I will take you a little bit back with my question.
Sure.
Mr. Chris. So at the beginning, you mentioned about debt. So I want to know if is all debt inherently bad, or it is bad when it is used for consumption.
Correct. We talked about good debt and bad debt. Debt depends. As I say, that we are in different phases of our economics, of our economical life. And at certain point, you need the debt to be able to enable you to go through a certain phase of life. So in that way, you need to take debt. And as I said, you have to have a reason for taking debt. You can't take debt because you don't have money. And if that is the case, because probably you are in a very, very tight spot, then how do you use that without it hurting you? So I think hold on there. We are going to see in another slide, I've outlined some other examples that should bring out that very well. But otherwise, a debt that is not paying itself, that is a bad debt. A debt that where you don't have the money to offset it, that is a bad debt. Or you don't have a plan to offset it, that is, how it's going to be paid back. It's a bad debt. Borrowing your cousin $100, it's a bad debt. There's no guarantee until they bring you guarantee. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. And
right.
I have a second one that I jotted down, but it's still on your first
go ahead
presentation. So it is so you emphasized a lot in financial discipline before using leverage. So what's the biggest mistake that people make when trying to build discipline?
The biggest confusion is what I talked about when I said thinking that credit is money. That is one. The next biggest thing that people think is that money is a gift. Money is not a gift. Money is a tool to empower you. Every time you spend that money out, you lose the power. As a human being, you need to own the power. When you take, and I think I posted some time back that if you don't take control of your finances, somebody will take control of your life. So the first thing is understand money, that you need money to empower you. You need money to be able to think straight. Number two, so as a result, you have to get in the process of debt management. You need to create a plan and all the stuff. Number two is misunderstanding the economy and not using credit as a tool, thinking that credit is going to be extra money for you. And then you use it and you find yourself in debt. So I think those are the misconceptions that we are trying to put straight today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, go ahead. You need another question? You have another question?
Yes, I have. One last question is for someone who is already in a bad debt, like those credit cards and personal loans. What's the first step that you will advise for someone to get back in control without quitting their normal job?
Okay, that's good. Don't quit your job. We talked about it here, is identify. Identify where your problem is coming from, and then review it. In a slide that I'm still going to come to tackle in some slides coming, we'll be talking about call the credit cards and make a plan. if you're already in a bad thing, please don't be quiet. Call, come out and say, hey guys, I know I have this. Most of the time they have better plans. Most of the time they have alternatives. Most of the time they can also assist you with stopping the compounding so that you pay back the principals or just pay back the interest first, stuff like that. So make sure that you call first. And then after that, after you've identified and then you're now working on it and you create a plan of how you're going to pay it back, that should be able to get it out. But I am not talking about figures here. I'm not talking about just waking up and doing things. You have to change your mind as far as debt is concerned. When you are in debt, you are a slave and you don't want to be like that. So change your mind as far as debt is concerned. You are not the person who's supposed to be in debt. Next time you get in debt, you have to be deliberate. Why are you getting debt? What are you taking the debt for? Do you want to build your credit or you want to buy a house? What do you want to do with the credit? You want to buy a car? Yes, go and take credit that is equivalent to what you want to do at that particular point. If you want to buy a car, you don't need a bigger credit card. If you want to buy a house, you might take a credit of 1,000 or something like that. Did that help you today?
Yes. Thank you so much for.
Sweet.
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of lose. Okay, I think we are here. So only make purchases on the credit cards that you have money in your account. I've talked about that. Limit the number of cards. All right, this is another one. So people, if I'm somebody taking credit cards, and I am not blaming anyone. Sometimes we don't take the credit cards. They are handled to us. I've got some friends calling me or I'm talking to them and they tell me that they went to buy. And then when they went to buy in that shop, the person asked them, hey, do you have an ID and all the stuff? And then they provide. Once they provide, they're like, okay, no, they buy it. And what they didn't know that by providing all that information, the people kind of engage them in taking a card and register them for a credit card. And before they realize they are in credit debt. So be careful with, especially where you buy clothes and all the stuff. Sometimes they will give you credit, give you cards from nowhere. So please don't take cards that you don't need. If somebody wants to take your ID and it's just a shop or you're just buying, please ask questions. So many people have been into this, and my wife also got in one of those things, and it was difficult just to get out. So make sure that you don't take cards that you don't, because at the end of the day, it's going to be hard for you to keep up with the dates and increasing costs and overspending. So take cards that you need. Avoid impulse purchases. Cool off. Just take time, at least 24 hours before you buy something that is not it's not an asset, or even you really don't need. If you need to buy it right now and you need to press that button on Amazon, if you're not gonna die, just take a few hours to cool off. Think straight. Do you really need it? Do you really need to take that card? Now, this is what I was talking about now. An example of how to leverage with that card. One, if there is something that you need to buy and you need it right now, okay? It's something that is needed in your life. You want to pay for an exam, or your child is sick or something like that. That is where credit cards sometimes come in. And in this case, whether the credit is good or bad, it is a tool in your hand to help you to leverage in this. You have not been paid. Take advantage of 30 days of the credit card before they charge you. Go and take the child to the hospital, pay for your school fee using that credit. And during this period, you have enough time to repay that amount. In that way, you have really leveraged using credit. You need to make an immediate investment. you need to, and this I could say, if I give a good example, is sometimes you want to buy stocks, you find better rates, you find better rates of returns, you find maybe you're buying, because in buying stocks, the earlier you get, the better, the safer you get, the better. If there is something that you need to buy at that particular point, something that's got immediate gains. If you have cash, somebody's selling their house or their car that you want to use for business or to use whatever, and you need money at that time, leverage with the credit. Go and take credit. That credit is going to give you that car right there. And if that, especially if that whatever you're buying is going to give you an investment gain immediately, please use credit and take advantage of the better payment terms and pay for that, whatever you want. And in that way, we want to believe that at that particular point, you have added something into your life. So make sure that this immediate gain is something that is really going to gain something in your life. Another thing is asset acquisition. Are you buying a house? What is it that you're buying? If that thing is an asset that you need for your business, or you need it for your schooling, you need it for your health or something like that, leverage, take advantage of the longer duration of repayment and have the acquisition immediately. But make sure that there is a proper repayment plan, and whatever you're buying at that particular point is within your credit limit. And most of the time, if you have credit for it, you probably have the means to pay it back. Another thing is offers and promotions. And this is a very interesting one. Offers and promotions come every time. Black Fridays are here, Christmas promotions and all that stuff. You might get some things that are really cheap, and you want those things at that particular point. And still have it in mind that, are you buying just consumer goods, or are they assets? But even if they are not assets, you can still use credit to leverage. Okay, you can still use credit to leverage, even if it's just consumer things, but at that point you have gotten what you needed, and you can leverage with the grace period that every card gives, and before they start charging you, you have paid it back. And the biggest one is you want to buy property. You want to buy property, here you go. Then you can leverage with the property. Get a mortgage, repay mortgage over 30 years. Probably the property that you need is 500,000. That's a lot of money. This is where credit comes, and you leverage, in that way, you buy a property and you'll be paying over time, building equity, taking advantage of value, taking advantage of taxes. And in that way, you can, these are everyday examples of how you can leverage. The above examples offer you instant solutions, but still, it is not considered that using the credit is an extra income until there is a better return for your investments. I'm almost done. Key principles of real estate success. Investing in real estate is a tested method of building long-term wealth, and leveraging debt can significantly amplify your returns. By using borrowed funds to purchase property, you can offset that and appreciate, let the property appreciate over time. I wanted to say something as far as this is concerned. I've seen so many people working so hard to buy a $400,000 400,000 or 500,000 house. And at the moment, you find that they are paying rent for about 2,000 or 2,000 something, and they want to buy a house that is 500. Some people are buying. Let's say you are paying 1,000, 1,500 for your rent. Sometimes I think you can start small. It will not need a lot of your credit for you to buy it. It will not put you into using a lot of down payment. Buy a smaller house. Start from there. Start ownership early. Sometimes buying a house that is big, even if you want to do adult family home, as long as you are renting at this particular moment, you can buy. You can start, if you want to buy an adult family home in about maybe a year or a year and a half, it doesn't stop you from buying a small house that is worth 300,000. Why? Because the money that you are spending in rent, that money can be leveraged in debt and then used to buy property. And then instead of paying rent of 1,500, you can add another 500 on top of it. It becomes 2,000. Pay mortgage of about 2,000 for a house that is 350 or 200 and something. I still believe that living in your single family home with your gate is far much better than living in an apartment. Of course, the preferences are, people prefer different things, but it is good to own. I cannot emphasize the advantages of owning as opposed to renting. When you rent, that money is flushed down the toilet. When you own, you build equity, you offset taxes, appreciation is yours. You have control of that house. Going ahead, there is something that somebody asked about closing the accounts. So this is another thing that you can leverage with if you are a house owner. So there's something that is called offset account. Once you've bought a house, remember you are paying the mortgage just like you would pay rent, but you also have some savings. So this is what you do with your savings. You take your savings, and in that bank where they are, and this is the account that you don't close. So you go to the bank and ask for an offset account. What that means that this account is going to be linked to your mortgage. So let's say, for example, the house is worth 300,000. Then you have some money that you have saved. Okay. So let's say you saved 50,000, you have it saved. Instead of using the whole of 50,000 and paying for the mortgage or just having it sit somewhere, this money can sit on an offset account. And then when it sits in an offset account, your interest will not be calculated on the basis of 300,000. Your interest will only be calculated in 250. So in this way, you still have the 50,000. And at the same time, this 50,000 is used again against your mortgage. And now you are only paying interest on 250. In that way, it's going to make your mortgage payments very, very low. And you're still having your 50,000 without using it. So yes, I think it is Isabella who asked about the accounts. So this is the account that you shouldn't close. It's just a normal account. It's not a credit card account. It's called an offset account. You can use it, put your money there as your savings account, but whatever is in there is used against your mortgage. Questions? Anyone with a question? I think we have taken almost an hour. If we don't ask questions, I'm going to ask questions.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you explain again the offset account, please?
Yeah, sure. So this is an account just like an everyday bank account, but it's linked to your loan, to your home loan, to your mortgage. So how it works is you've already bought a house and the house is worth 300,000. Every time, remember, every credit that is taken out comes with an interest, and most of the time they don't tell you this. If you're buying a house of 300,000, you are not going to pay back 300,000. Most of the time you'll pay 400 or 500,000. Where's the other amount going to? It's always going towards interest. And that is why when you're buying a house, most of the time it's very important for you to know what is the interest rate. So if you had people worrying about the interest rate, this is the reason as to why you need to understand what interest rate is, because this is the money that the bank is going to charge you for giving you money. It doesn't pay your debt. They're just charging you for giving you money. But if you have anything saved in another account, like your savings, you can put your savings account in an offset account. So if your money is in offset account, it reduces your total balance. So they will not charge you interest based on 300. So if you have 50,000 saved, they will charge you interest based on 250. If you have 100,000 saved, they are only going to charge you interest based on 200,000. And you still have your money. Your money is not taken away. They just link it to say that, okay, he's got some money. We can see he's got some money there. Then we are not going to charge him interest. We will tax as though that money is also put there for mortgage, but you can use it anytime. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
But, sorry, but I can't withdraw this money. This 50,000, I can't touch it.
You can't touch it. It's your money.
And if I touch it, that means the mortgage goes up again.
Yes, it will interfere.
Okay. Thank you.
Correct. That was a good question. Any other person with a question? I'm going to ask a question. Why are we pressed to take credit? Why are we given credit in the first place, even without us asking for it? Why are we required to have credits in the United States?
To become slaves and workers.
To become workers.
Slaves and workers.
The system is looking for working class. That's a good answer. Thank you so much, Mr. Ken. So, and why are we learning about this? We are learning about this because so that you can know how to live in this system. Because if you just come in and all you do is to get credit and get into the system and working, you are only going to make the system work great. And look, I'm not talking that people should work against the system, but I'm letting you know so that you understand and take control, because having your life put that the government is controlling your life or something else is controlling your life is not the best. You need to take control of your life. All right, good answer there. What is the purpose of money? If you listen, if we had good students. Okay, I'm gonna get, if we don't get, let's try find. What is the purpose of money? It is there on the screen.
Money is empowerment.
Money is an empowerment tool. And that is as to why you need to take control of your finances. Because when you have your money, credit is not a threat to you. But if you don't have money, credit is a threat because they will really, really interfere with your life. And if you want to know this, is just miss one payment of car payment, they will call you every day. And not only that, this system, the American system, is in such a way that it is networked. You miss one, they tell all the others that so-and-so has missed, and they keep on piling that. And you realize that your humanity, your ability to talk and think straight and be able to build wealth is taken away. So money is an empowerment tool. It allows you to talk and think straight. It allows you to be able to make a proper judgment as far as your future is concerned. Good answer there. Now, I think if we don't have any question, I have this recorded for those who want, and those who still have any questions, you can always ask me any questions. Those who want specific advice on how to leverage in your specific industry, whether you want to buy a house or you just want to get out of a certain debt, you and I can get, and I'm still offering this service free of charge. No payment on it. You don't have to pay. I'll create for you a plan that is going to work for you and take you out. If you want to buy a house, super. You're most welcome. Let's come. Let's see how you can build credit without having to hustle so much. Otherwise, thank you so much. Not unless any other person has got a question.
Yes, Mr. Chris. So how can I, if I have any questions, how do I reach to you?
Okay, that's a good one. You can always call me. That's if I think I'm very available. You can always call me. And if you don't find me, maybe I'm busy, just leave me a message. My number is 360 712 9438. Let me see if I can type it there. 360 712 9438. So that is my number. I've just put it there. And you can always go to my website, www.christopherodinde. Odinde.com. You can get all my information there. You can get my my email there. Just email me or leave a message. I will get that and I'll respond to you. And if you want to meet me in person, let's have some time. Let's have coffee. Let's discuss what is disturbing us. Let's discuss your plan. Let's discuss your wealth building process. Okay. Any other question?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chris.
I appreciate you. Okay. If we don't have any question, I think that is the end of your presentation. And I really thank you for tuning in, and may God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Christopher. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Bye.